The sea is far more mysterious than we think. We look out at the waves and see nothing but endless water. But beneath that surface, beneath miles of cold, dark pressure, is a world we barely understand. It's vast, it's ancient, and sometimes it speaks to us. Not in words, not in whispers, but in signals, sounds, pings. And in one of the strangest categories of all, SOS signals, distress calls, from nowhere, with no name, with no known origin. Messages that travel up through the depths, bouncing through sonar channels and hydrophones, reaching our ears, but never showing us the face of who sent them. What if the ocean is trying to tell us something? Or worse, what if someone is? This isn't science fiction. These events are real. It began, in part, with the Cold War. The world was obsessed with submarines, and the oceans became battlegrounds of silent warfare. To monitor them, nations installed massive underwater listening systems, like the U.S. Navy's SOS-US, short for Sound Surveillance System. These hydrophone networks were designed to track Soviet submarines, but they picked up more than just enemy movement. In 1997, something strange echoed across the South Pacific. A powerful, ultra-low-frequency sound unlike anything heard before. It was quickly named the bloop. It lasted for about a minute and was so loud it was detected by sensors over 3,000 miles apart. Some scientists said it sounded biological, but no known sea creature was big enough to produce it. NOAA, America's National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, eventually claimed it was likely caused by ice quakes, but not everyone was convinced. And then came something even stranger: SOS signals. These weren't just random noises. These were rhythmic, intentional, repeating patterns that resembled Morse code. The kind of thing you'd expect from someone in distress, someone trying to be found.
One of the most mysterious incidents happened in 1991. A team of Russian deep-sea researchers reported picking up faint but structured tapping sounds about 15,000 feet below the surface in the North Atlantic. They claimed it resembled an SOS pattern in Morse code: 3 short taps, 3 long, 3 short again. It repeated for almost 12 hours. The team sent a remotely operated vehicle to investigate, but it lost signal 300 meters above the source. They never reached the bottom, and the tapping stopped. The event was never officially recorded in public logs, and Russian naval authorities have never confirmed it. But whispers of it surfaced later in leaked scientific papers and military forums. The report, if real, suggests someone or something was calling for help in one of the deepest parts of the ocean. Skeptics argue that such sounds could easily be attributed to geological activity. Undersea ridges are full of moving plates, cracking ice, and volcanic heat vents. These produce all sorts of echoes, but the pattern is what bothers experts. Random movement doesn't generate intentional Morse code, and the signals didn't stop. In 2003, the Chinese Navy detected strange tonal patterns off the coast of Hainan Island. Once again, a series of rhythmic pings that resembled an emergency signal. Their submarines were alerted and reconnaissance vessels were dispatched. Nothing was found. But similar signals were heard again in 2008, then again in 2012. What's baffling is that each time the signal was detected, it came from a different depth, almost as if it was moving, but not drifting like an object, moving like a vessel or a living thing. One Chinese oceanographer suggested the possibility of an unknown deep-sea species capable of generating patterned sound waves, perhaps for communication or echolocation, but then asked, if it's communication, who are they talking to? A more chilling theory comes from declassified CIA documents from the 1970s, which mentioned intermittent acoustic anomalies recorded in the Pacific that suggested the presence of unknown submarinal technology. This phrasing sparked waves of speculation in later decades. What if someone had developed submersible technology far in advance of what we knew? Something able to survive at crushing depths, stay hidden, And, if in trouble, send signals no one would believe.
Another layer to the mystery comes from the numbers of the deep. Between 2009 and 2015, private hydrophone researchers working near the Mariana Trench recorded sequences of numbers spoken aloud, transmitted through deep-sea frequencies. The voice, always male, always robotic, would say a series of digits: 3, 7, 4, 4, 2, 9. Then silence. No known transmission source was found. These weren't radio signals. They weren't bouncing from satellites. They were traveling through the ocean. Were they encrypted signals, coordinates, countdown timers? No one knows. Now, let's talk about MH370, the missing Malaysian Airlines flight. While it's not a sea origin event, what followed is where the mystery returns to the depths. After the plane disappeared in 2014, many hydroacoustic listening stations were tasked with finding signs of its crash. In the process, some recorded brief, high-pitched SOS-like pings from the southern Indian Ocean several weeks after the plane had vanished. While many believe these to be unrelated, a few researchers pointed out the timing. The first ping was recorded exactly 40 days after the crash, matching the emergency battery life of the aircraft's black box. But the signals didn't match the known beacon frequency. They were close, but off, almost as if mimicked. And they stopped suddenly, just before search teams arrived. Was it interference? Was it a hoax? Or something imitating the plane's distress? Let's not forget the infamous ghost ship, SS Orang Medan, allegedly found drifting in the Strait of Malacca in the 1940s after sending out a disturbing SOS. The message reportedly read, "All officers, including the captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead. Then, I die." When rescue teams boarded it, they allegedly found everyone dead with horrified expressions. Seconds later, the ship exploded and sank. Many dismiss the story as apocryphal, yet it appears in multiple naval reports from the time. And if true, it suggests someone was able to send that signal from a doomed vessel. A final, desperate call from the sea. But what if not all signals are human?
Some researchers studying whale communication have discovered sequences of clicks and moans that resemble patterns. While not Morse code, some of them repeat with an almost linguistic rhythm. One whale, nicknamed 52, calls out at a frequency no other whale responds to. It's been labeled the loneliest whale, broadcasting for decades with no known reply. Could creatures like this be generating signals that we're misinterpreting as distress calls? Or worse, what if some calls are not meant for us at all? A 2020 scientific expedition off the coast of Antarctica picked up a repeating signal from beneath the ice shelf. It was low, pulsing, with a rising tone every 11 seconds. They called it the bell. It continued for 4 days, paused, then returned exactly 1 month later. Each time, louder. But no seismic activity was recorded, no ice calving, just the sound. Ringing from the deep, like a beacon or a warning. The truth is, we've mapped Mars more thoroughly than our own ocean floors. Less than 25% of the ocean is mapped in high resolution. That means over 70% of our planet's surface is largely unknown. A black void filled with moving shadows, pressure-crushed silence, and sometimes signals that don't belong. When we hear an SOS, we're trained to respond. But what happens when that signal comes from a place we cannot reach? From a depth we cannot survive? From a source we cannot understand? The sea is vast, older than humanity, and it remembers everything that's ever fallen into it. The next time a signal is heard from the bottom, will we answer? Or will we choose to ignore it, afraid of what or who we might find? You've just listened to Unheard Whispers, Don't forget to subscribe for more mysteries that echo beneath the surface of oceans, of history, and of time itself. Because some whispers were never meant to be heard.